Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel, Reading Ideas. I've been tagged by Genre Books in a newly created tag, the Tag de France, based on the Tour de France. It's a fabulous tag. Well done, Gavin. It is absolutely brilliant. All the parts of the Tour de France, he's got tags based on that. It's brilliant, it really is. So I'm gonna do my best with Gavin's tag, the Tag de France. So firstly, you might not know of a band called a pop group called Kraftwerk, a German band, very incredibly influential in electronic music, and they did a record, Tour de France. Dun, 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 and loads of heavy breathing. So check out, so it's not even part of the tag, check out Kraftwerk if you've never heard of Kraftwerk. Very influential, very influential band. The robots is brilliant and the model fantastic. Right, so first one, Le Grand Départ. A memorable preface, introduction or opening line, so the start of the race, the Grand Départ. Things sound better in French, don't they? So, I thought of, the start of, I've mentioned this, Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness is absolutely fabulous. He's on the Thames, it's all murky, and he said, imagine the Romans turning up here in the Terreme or whatever they're called, and looking and thinking, I don't want to get off the boat in this place. Not with all those painted Celts running about with spears. So that's great. But as an opening line, there is none better than, pause for effect, Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. It's just a brilliant comedic, manners, old English book. It's fabulous. Absolutely brilliant. Number 2, Maillot Vert, the green jersey. So a sprint. The green jersey is for the one who gets the most points on sprints. And we had a racer, Mark Cavendish. He was always brilliant at sprints. So I thought can I do a twist on Cavendish? There's book publishers Cavendish. I think there's a female writer, Gabrielle Cavendish or something, but it says pick a book. So I tried to do a bit of a twist, but a book under 150 pages. I'm just getting over reading Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in at 54 pages, but it ain't no sprint. It isn't a sprint, it's so dense. So yeah, there's a twist there, isn't there? It's a short book, but it ain't no sprint. Right, 3, King of the Mountains. The person who gets the most marks, getting over the top of the hills the quickest, does it the quickest over the top of the hills, gets to wear a polka dot top. There's got to be something on polka dots out there you can all check out. So the polka dot jersey. Now, he says it's a psychological battle as well as a physical battle. So that brings to mind Machiavelli's The Prince. There's no bigger master of the dark arts than Machiavelli. Machiavelli the Prince, ultimate classic work. Of course, you could also do Sun Tzu's Art of War. But you can't have the King of the Mountains is the man who would be king, Rudyard Kipling. There's that famous film, Sean Connery, Michael Caine, they go wandering off and, they pretend that, they get to rule as king if they pretend, is it, that they're the son of Alexander. So, yeah, The Man Who Would Be King by Rudyard Kipling. Number 4, Maillot Jaune, the yellow jersey, the one who wins, the one who's toughed it out, been supported by everybody and been in the slipstreams when he can, but the yellow jersey. I tried to think of he said to come up with a cover, but I thought, no, I'm going to dig deep. I'm picking a book that I looked up. Yellow made me think of jaundice. So I thought, what book has someone suffered jaundice in? Now, I haven't read it, so it's a bit of a cheat, but Jardin and Jardin. Jaundice and Jaundice. Bit of a stretch. Bleak House. For those of you who have read Bleak House, Jardin and Jardin. That's close enough to Jaundice and Jaundice. Yeah, Bleak House. That legal case, Jardin and Jardin. It's a bit of a stretch, but it's a fun tag. Number 5. This is my favourite bit. Lanterne Rouge. So in the start of in the old days in the race, the poor guy who was at the back of the race, so that people didn't drive into the back of him, he had to have a red lantern hung off the back of his bike. The mark of shame. So there's got to be books out there on the mark of shame. What's that one? The White Feather. The White Feather. So the mark of shame. He's at the back. He's the loser. The lowest of the low. Well, of course not, because he's trying hard. So that made me think of, where am I? Les Miserables. The lowest of the low. Can't get lower. Lowest of the low. Les Miserables. Les Miserables. Miserable. He's at the back. But then I thought, no. Actually, no. The guy at the back, he's having the toughest time. In some ways, he's a bit of a reverse hero of the race. What about books on Dunkirk? Last Man Out, Dunkirk, Waterloo, 1812. Gavin's done mentioned Napoleon in one. What about Marshal Ney? The back of the retreat from Moscow, 1812. Marshal Ney, yeah, favourite of Hemingway. When he's looking at the statue, when he's in his 20s trying to be a writer, and he's calling him Mike Ney. Ooh, yeah. So, but for the Red Lantern, there is a series, the Red Lantern by Peter Milligan. But what Gavin said is a book that you're late to. Books that you're late to. So this is going to be my pick after all that. The Red Lantern. Book writer that I'm late to, Shakespeare. I'm going to be reading some Shakespeare. Touched on it, I didn't really kind of do much of it at school, know loads of the quotes, but never really sat down and read a load of Shakespeare. So somebody who I'm late to, Sir William Shakespeare. 6, Hors category. Careful how you say that now. Hors category. The steepest bit. The most challenging part. Gavin wants you to pick a book that you really struggled with. I picked up Nietzsche years and years ago, tried to read that. Yeah, no, Nietzsche, hard work. It's kind of like I have to sit down and have a long think over every sentence, so I didn't get far with that. I'll give it another go. Another one I tried reading in my probably been late teens, War and Peace. Got to 2 chapters and that kind of just quietly sidled away on the shelf. Apologies to sorry Pat and friends at Book Chat with Pat. The Catcher in the Rye was not for me, sorry. But the pick that I'm going to have is, now I've read lots on the Nazis, what the Nazis did. That was a tough read, but I read it. You can't say it's interesting, but you feel like you have to read it. But on the other baddies, the commie baddies, I tried reading the Gulag Archipelago by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and that is just too awful for me. That I felt that it was messing with my mind. The Nazis, they were nasty, but if anything, what the Russians did was even worse. It was horrible. If you can read the Gulag Archipelago and come out of it unscathed and not mentally disturbed, because basically that's all it was, how to psychologically mess with you and pretend that it won't even no, you can't make sense of it. Can't make sense of it. Not saying you can make sense of the Nazis, but the Gulag Archipelago, who knew that humans could do such a thing? It's not, yeah. if there's such a thing as worse than barbarism. So the Gulag Archipelago is the toughest read. Yeah, didn't finish that, no way. Endurance. So 7, endurance. The whole thing is an endurance. So pick a series. When I thought of series, one of my first thoughts was this, not quite a series, but a little bit of a twist on it, is all the Sherlock Holmes short stories. If it can be looked at as one long series, fabulous read. So that's what my brain went to first. But trooping around a local bookshop, I came across a book, Musashi, by I.G. Yoshikawa. It's pronounced something like that. And it said book 1 of 5 books, 120 million copies sold in Japan alone. So I thought, brilliant. Read it, you know, a little bit like a cowboy book type thing, adventure book, you know, about Japanese culture. It said, you know, if you really want to understand Japanese culture, read Musashi. So I thought, brilliant. I read book 1, cost me a few quid in the little bookshop. Thought, great, I'll get the other 4. Go on Amazon, book 1, 55 quid. Book 2, no. Book 3, no. Book 4, 60 quid. Book 5, no. What a disaster. Where's me Musashi? I'm not paying 500 quid. So that's going to be a bit of a journey to dig them out if I can. Musashi. That's really good. You know, reminds me a little bit of the Louis L'Amour that I'm reading every now and again. But in terms of endurance, the best series I'm gonna do on my own channel, something, you know, I've not heard anybody talk about in the BookTube that I've looked at. Nassim Nicholas Taleb's book, 5 books that he's called, as if it's sections of one book, Incerto, Anti-Fragile, Black Swan, Fooled by Randomness, The Bed of Procrustes, and there's one other which I didn't write down, it'll come to me. But Nassim Nicholas Taleb, you know, was a trader. But I'll do more details, I won't pause now. But I would say one of the greatest philosophers of the last 100 years. Unbelievable. Yeah, if you... Anti-Fragile, a work of utter genius, honestly. So I'll do more details on that. Nassim Nicholas Taleb, Black Swan, Anti-Fragile, Food by Randomness. Yeah, I'm going to try and set myself the target of reading at least one of those each year. 8, the Champs-Élysées, the grand finish. Gavin says, pick a book on Paris. Now, can't talk to me about Paris without Hemingway's A Movable Feast, a book of short stories about when he was there in the 1920s with his first wife Hadley and his cats and his little baby and all the other famous writers there, Eliot, Ezra Pound. The short, you know, reading a lot about it, reading his books, being a big fan of Hemingway, but just... it's unbelievable, so rich, so dense. Yeah, you know, I went out, bought a bottle of Sancerre because I read it in one of the stories, put it in the fridge, opened it up, smelled that fruity aroma. Yeah, I've read that book 10 times. Fabulous. But it's not going to be my pick for Paris. So, Champs-Élysées. The Elysian Fields. I didn't realise that. Champs-Élysées. So it has to be the Elysian Fields, Greek mythology, Homer. Yeah, where the heroes, when they die, they go off to the Elysian Fields. Yeah, so for Paris or for the Champs-Élysées, Homer. 9, Lance Armstrong, the cheetah. Lance Armstrong He was a cancer survivor, testicular cancer, if I remember rightly. And the French loved him and hated him because he was so dominant. He won it, was it 7 times? Won it. So difficult. He was an utter hero. You can't picture him without him being in yellow, the winner's jersey. And then it all unravelled that he was a cheat. He was a dirty cheat. Now, there's a little bit of a but in this. So he was done for doping, for taking performance-enhancing drugs. Now, so when I thought of cheater, my initial thought was that old, it always just sticks in my mind, that old film Paper Moon, with Ryan O'Neal and his daughter, and they were going around as con merchants. You know, so that's what it made me think of, cheater. But then I had this nagging thought over Lance Armstrong, and so here's the question: was he? Yes, he was cheating. EPO, was it doping his blood? Surely he can't have been the only one. I just have this feeling, it's just an opinion, that he's there and he's like, you caught me, I did cheat. But everybody was at it. Surely everybody was at it. So I can't think of one. So I'm trying to think of somebody who's had to go through a trial. Maybe, was it, when I say I can't think of one, I'm fibbing. I did think of one on the way up. As you can see, I'm ready. I'm about to go metal detecting. I've paused to answer Gavin's fantastic challenge, and it just made me think in a bit of a weird connection to witch trials. It was kind of, burn him, he's a cheat, burn him, don't tell anybody we're all cheats though, so quick, burn him. So all those witch trials, again, that's going to be another topic for a topic of mine that I'll come on to. For metal detecting, you find things occasionally from the 1600s. Now, here's a book to mention for that, witch trials. It's a book, I think it's called Demonology, and it was written, unbelievably, by a king, the first king of Great Britain, James I, or I think was he James VI of Scotland? So, a quick tale. James is in Scotland. His mother has been killed by Elizabeth I. It is all weird. It's all religious. Elizabeth I, she was Protestant. Her sister was Catholic. Her dad was first Protestant. Henry VIII, burning all the monasteries down. It was kicking off big style, religious style across the country. And so James, he's trying to marry Anne. I think she's 12, of Denmark. So she's trying to get across, but she can't get across because there's storms. So the boat's sinking, caught in storms. He goes to try and fetch her from Denmark. And in Denmark, they're all into all this, and they're burning witches left, right and centre. And they get somebody, and she admits, yes, I wanted to stop this marriage. I'm in league with the devil. So, they burn her at the stake. James gets it into his head, they're all out to get me. He comes back to Britain. He's got enemies left, right and centre. It's these witches. They start burning witches over here. And he is so into it, he writes a book on witches, Thou Shalt Not Suffer a Witch to Exist, or whatever it is. Demonology. A king writing a book about burning witches. So that's my Lance Armstrong book on cheaters. Demonology. 10. Re-equip. Teamwork. The A-Team, you got to think, I love it when a plan comes together. Maybe think of that film Species, that horror film where they put a team together, all different characters. You've got the weapons guy, the tough guy. You've got the woman sociology type person or geneticist or whatever it is, and then you've got that that famous guy. Was it and he's an empath. Yeah, I'm an empath. A sensor. So yeah, putting a team together for Species, but putting a team together can't beat The Seven Samurai, one of the greatest films ever. What's it called? Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. So Gavin, hats off to you. Yeah, or clips off to you from round your ankles for the Tour de France. So, I've come in over 20 minutes. I've gone on longer than Gavin. Terrible. So, there we go. That's my answer to Gavin's Tag de France. Don't forget to check out Kraftwork. Well done, Gavin. I'll see if I can look at your list and see if you've missed anybody to tag. Bye for now. Let's get detecting.